Some transport groups are going on strike next week as oil prices are bound for another spike. The groups have laid down a series of demands, including the suspension of the oil deregulation law. The impact of the oil crisis on workers has prompted the Labor Department to revisit the current minimum wage rate. DOLE says it will review the petition seeking to bump up the daily minimum wage to 750 pesos. The government is looking to start talks on downgrading the COVID-19 risk classification in some parts of the country to a so-called Alert Level 0. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Sean Yao. Several transport groups have threatened to stop operations next week to protest the government's lack of response to the series of oil price hikes. Shaila Francisco with the report.
4 transport groups are postponing their petition for a fare hike despite the series of oil price hikes in the past weeks. This comes after the Transportation Department's assurance that the 2.5 billion peso fuel subsidy will be doubled. The DOTR will also include traditional jeepneys in their service contracting program.
Andyan na ang mga subsidy na yan, mga service contracting, totally atras na namin yan dahil talagang naniniwala ako sa paninindigang pinag-usapan namin nila sa Secretary Artugade.
However, Liga ng Transportasyon at operators sa Pilipinas will continue their 6 peso fare hike petition. If approved, this will result to a 15 peso minimum fare. The group says the fuel subsidy being offered by the government is simply not enough. They said the payout cannot cover the net increase in oil prices and will do little to address the rising costs of other commodities. Other transport groups agree.
Hirap na po talaga. Karamihan po sa mga driver namin, hindi na po nakakabiyahe dahil hindi po talaga umaabot yung kita nila. Halos hindi na matunan yung pangangailangan ng pamilya.
With this, transport groups are calling for the amendment of oil deregulation law as well as suspending the VAT and excise tax on petroleum products. If this doesn't happen, over 30 transport groups warn that they will halt operations next week.
Hindi ho ito isang babala, hindi ho ito isang threat. Kung walang kita, bakit ka palalabas? Kung nalulugi ka lang, bakit ka palalabas?
The DOTR appeals to these groups to reconsider as this would only affect the riding public. But the department is also ready to impose penalties if needed. For its part, the Finance Department insists that suspending fuel excise tax will result to foregone revenues and will only slow down economic recovery. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
The Labor Department has ordered a review of the current minimum wage rate as the prices of oil and basic goods rise. Mon Gualvez with that story.
Gerald only has 80 pesos to spend for a whole day of duty as a janitor in Mandaluyong City. A trip from his home in Antipolo to his workplace already costs him 60 pesos.
Kaya ginagawa ko yung mga dilatang hindi inuulam ng mga bata, dinadala ko, yun po yung binabaon ko.
Gerald earns 12,000 pesos a month, majority of which is allotted for his family's meals. More than 3,000 pesos is for transportation expenses, while almost 2,000 pesos goes to bills. He is just one of the minimum wage earners who are feeling the impact of recent price hikes. That's why the Labor Department believes that there's already a need to review the wages.
Inactivate ko agad yung ating wage board, no? Kasi sila naman ang mandated to continue monitoring our wage level. Merong isang petition, not only addressed to us, but also addressed to Congress, petitioning that the minimum wage should be increased to 750 pesos per day.
The Trade Union Congress of the Philippines has welcomed the DOLE's move.
The situation now calls for it na dapat may increase. Again, the wage board does not have to wait for us, TUCP.
TUCP estimates that wages' purchasing power has already depreciated by almost 50 pesos. And so, the actual value of your 537 pesos goes down to just 487 pesos per day. The group added that the government should continue providing financial assistance.
This administration has given the COVID assistance measure program, Mon, but that was 5,000 pesos and 10,000 pesos in some regions. But then again, that was only given twice.
Other workers are also appealing for a salary increase.
Mas okay po na taasan kasi sa mahal po ng bilihin ngayon, hindi talaga po kasya sa pang-araw-araw.
Kung lahat naman po ay tumataas, ba't naman po yung sahod hindi natin ihabol din na tumaas?
While some employers don't mind providing additional pay, there are still those that cannot afford hiking wages.
Alam natin, hirap lahat, no? Pero dapat i-consider yung kalagayan ng mga micro-employers. Dapat talaga ayudahan ng gobyerno.
Employers are hoping to set a dialogue to discuss the push for salary increase. For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
We'll be back with more stories after this quick break. Stay with us here on One News. You're back on One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. The government will start discussing the possibility of placing select low-risk areas under a so-called COVID-19 Alert Level 0. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III said discussions will include whether or not the face mask mandate can be lifted. The DOH also noted that the country has been posting less than 1,000 new COVID-19 cases per day for the past week. The IATF will also be meeting today to discuss proposals for a nationwide shift to Alert Level 1. And Korean pop sensation BTS is holding its first in-person concert since the start of the pandemic. The show is happening later today at the Seoul Olympic Stadium, with only 15,000 audience members allowed per show in compliance with South Korea's COVID-19 protocols. Fans watching live are also prohibited from cheering and standing up during all 3 days of the event. A live stream will also be available for BTS fans around the world. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I am Sean Yao. We are One News.